Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Kenneth Chu. Welcome to episode 30 of Mother Industrialist live show where we talk about entrepreneurship, parenting, and life. And in this episode, we are going to talk about how to be a digital mompreneur in the business world today. Today I've reached a really great guest coming on. She really make time for today's session, and I'm so excited to invite her. And she's an author, she's a speaker, she's also a mom with a daughter. She's a radio and podcast show host. She's also a founder of Social Savvy Geek. And without further ado, let us welcome Laura. Hi, Laura.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for making time on to my show. And before we kickstart the show, there's a tradition that every guest get to pose a question of the day out to the audience and to the next guest. So, are you ready to answer the question of the day posted by the previous guest before we can kickstart with the show?
What's the question?
Okay. So, the question of the day is, how do you extend grace in your business and parenthood? So I repeat again, the question of the day is, how do you extend grace in business and parenthood? So give some time to think about it while I go onto Facebook Live to see if you are live successfully and if our audio are good to go. Is that good?
Yep.
I'll come back to you. Okay, let me just check. Monica is in.
Hi, Monica.
Okay, I can hear my voice. Okay, good. Can hear you loud and clear. So, Monica, are you ready with your answer to the question of the day?
Oh, I thought Monica was watching us.
Yeah.
um, yes, I'm ready. It's funny that that's the question because I actually speak about that on my podcast, telling people,
Mm,
of course, it's always, it seems easier to show grace to other people
mm,
than it is to yourself, but we have to leave space and let ourselves know. And I do this for myself that if something didn't go to plan, for example, if I didn't publish a blog article related to my podcast on time, there is no point in beating myself up about it.
mm,
I am human. I cannot do everything perfectly all the time. God help me, I wouldn't want to try. That is an unattainable goal. So I just do my best and keep going, just keep going.
mm,
And with my daughter, I have to constantly remind myself that she's not quite 5 and remember what things felt like when I was 5 and try and have patience and realize that 10 minutes feels like an hour and
mm,
um, just try and love on her a little bit
mm.
more. That's it. That's all I got.
Wow, that's good. And now we can kickstart with the show. So Laura, before we move on, maybe you can do a short introduction about yourself. What were you doing prior to you starting your own business? And
Mhm.
also where are you from and what's your background like? You can just share with us, especially to the audience who are new to you.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can do a short introduction about yourself.
Yeah, I can keep it succinct. So my background is prior to starting Social Savvy Geek, immediately prior, I was a financial advisor.
Mm,
But I do have a background in corporate. I worked at Capital One. I was also in entertainment. I worked at movie theaters and restaurants for uh, 12 plus years, and I was an engineer for the Virginia Army National Guard and a lifeguard for a good many years. So,
wow.
still an avid U.S. Masters swimmer, and yeah, so I've done a lot of different jobs. Didn't quite fit in anywhere
Mm.
because I was meant to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know it until the market tanked in 2009.
Mm.
And I am from Williamsburg in Richmond, Virginia, but I live in Denver, Colorado now. I moved across the country to be with my family when I found
Mm.
myself suddenly a single mother.
Mm.
And um, now I run Social Savvy Geek. I opened that in 2010, and I've
Mm-mm.
been doing it since.
Wow.
Did I miss any parts?
No, I think it's a good short introduction of yourself. And I see
Okay.
we have some guests on live that is joining us. Maybe you can say hi to them. Hi guys. Let us know
Hello. Thank you.
where you guys are from. You can drop a comment below, and we will be glad to hear more from you guys. If you have any question for Laura, especially on being a digital mompreneur, or even doing an online business, you can drop the comment below. We will address it at the later part of the show
Mhm.
before we end off. So so, Laura, so just to
Mhm.
understand, because you were doing a lot of different jobs and you were saying that you're meant to be entrepreneurial,
Mhm.
how at what point or what things that happened that make you realize, hey, I'm meant to be entrepreneur? What was the sign? What were the things that you felt that you should be your own boss? You can share with us.
Well, sure. I will sometimes say I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I did not set out to own my own business.
Mm,
My mother owned a ballet studio when I was a child, so I
mm,
had seen a mother who was a traditional business owner, but it hadn't occurred to me that I wanted to do any kind of business ownership for myself. I As I said, I was a financial advisor
mm,
and I was doing quite well at that. And, the market tanked, and I had learned during my couple of years doing financial advising that I was very good at business networking and
mm,
face to face meeting people, being excuse me, a natural connector, always helping people find who they needed to be connect with.
mm,
And I joined networking groups like Business Networking International, American Business Women's Association, National Association of Professional Women, like a bunch of networking groups.
wow.
And I became the VP of marketing and public relations for my local chapter of ABWA.
Mm,
And they just recognized I had this natural talent for marketing. And also, I was being asked to speak about social media and train other people on how to use it successfully because I'm a geek and I just was an early adapter and I take to software and online programs like a fish to water. I just get in and swim. I don't see technical difficulties. I'm just like, ooh, a new thing, let me use it. And then other people would come to me um, and ask me to train them. So when I lost my job, I had decided I really wanted to go into marketing and recruiting, but I didn't have any formal education in it. I went to school for art education, history, criminal justice, no marketing or anything similar in there. And nobody was hiring. They were
mm,
hiring full time only if you had a degree plus 5 years experience, and I didn't have that. So the women in American Business Women's Association said, "Hey, you already have people now paying you to run their social media."
mm.
Because as soon as I lost my job, people were like, "Oh, good, I could pay you for this now, right?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, you can," because I really needed the money.
Mm,
And they said, "Hey, just give your business a name. What you're doing, name it, do it, be that." And I was like, "Oh, I could do that." And
mm.
I molded over. But once I made the decision, I just said, I'm going to do this. And I announced it a week later, and that was in 2010. I've never looked back. And now that I've worked for myself, it's game over for everything else.
Mm.
This is it.
So it also shows that because like you were saying that you quit your job or you lost your job, then that's when
it
you
was, it was kind of a quit or be fired. So
okay, okay.
yeah, it was
So things
I
happen
think
for a
I
reason.
didn't quite meet it. Yeah, I didn't quite meet a sales goal, and it
Mm,
was a technicality because the transfer was coming,
mm.
and so they're like, "Well, you can quit or we'll fire you." And I was like, "Good, go ahead and fire me then. I'm not quitting." I made them fire me.
So things happen for a reason, and
Mhm.
like one door closes and another door opens, and it really opens up. And that was before you became a mom, right? You started your you know.
Yes, yes. So
Mm,
I had Brennan in um, 2013,
mm.
and then I moved to Colorado in 2016, and then I met my husband here, and we got married 2 years ago yesterday. So
Wow.
changes.
So that was like kind of like accidentally you move in, you step into entrepreneurship because
Mhm,
people felt that you are worth more. You can build a business, you can network
mhm,
because of all the skills and all that, and you believe in that, and that's why it took off your business, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, when people are saying you have a skill and we want it from you, sometimes you need to listen.
And
So,
that is something that is very important that especially for mothers. Sometimes they may not be able to feel that they are worth that much. They feel that because it's still a risk. It's still like like
Yes.
leaving your comfort zone. Because for most mothers or for most people, they will feel that, oh, I lost a job, I may be looking for another job. But when
Hmm.
that recommendation comes in, the suggestion of you stepping into entrepreneurship, you start charging people and start your business, you
Hmm.
took it with a pinch of salt because have maybe because of the influence from your mom, because your mom is a
Hmm.
businesswoman, and she started business before, and that opened up um, another option for you, that hey, why not I give it a shot, since my mom has done it, and now
Right.
someone else is suggesting and um, opening up that door for me. Why not I give it a
Right.
shot? So that is really important, and that's why I wanted to interview mompreneurs to share on this part, because that whatever the mom is doing now, especially if you're step into entrepreneurship, it will greatly affect your children's future. Because like for you,
Yeah.
if let's say your mom is not an entrepreneur, your mom that is not doing a business, when you had that, maybe you were fired from the job, you may be most likely 99.9% you'll be going into entrepreneur into the job environment
Hmm.
again. Am I right to
I
say that?
looked for a job and nobody was hiring. So but I knew what I wanted to do. And once
Mm,
I was, when people say no, you
yeah,
can't do what you want to do, I'm like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. If you don't
yeah,
hire me, I'm just going to do it on my own. So,
yeah.
I, as long as there were a job available that offered what I wanted, it seemed like the thing to do. But then once people try to say, well, you can't do that, I'm
Mm,
like, well, I'm going to do that. So
correct.
I just find another way. And another way was, my way.
Yeah, which is very very important, especially you had that business before you become a mom, and it's
Yes.
naturally you will step into that entrepreneurship at the same time, because you are already living life on your own terms, and
Hmm.
as a mom, you really need a lot of time, I believe, when you transit into when you have your first child.
I thought I was prepared, but my daughter came a month early, so
Mm,
there was that. But also, I had a physical office in Richmond, and I had 6 employees working for
mm,
me. Even though my business is online, I like some face-to-face, interaction. We had clients all over the country we hadn't met because we deal online with them.
mm,
Um, but I had someone training to do my my daily tasks so
mm,
that I could take time with my baby.
mm.
And then she came a whole month early and we weren't quite ready yet. So
and and and
I
that and that also bring us to the topic of the day, which is how to be a digital mompreneur in the business world today. Because for
mhm,
you, definitely, you were an entrepreneur before you became a mom, and after you became a
mhm.
mom, you were still managing a business. So how does that translate? That means, how do you move from an entrepreneur to a mompreneur from there, especially as a digital mompreneur?
Yeah, it was a bigger transition than I thought that it would be
Mm-mm,
because I didn't realize how completely exhausted I would be
mm,
from taking care of Brennan.
mm,
And I didn't realize that while she was sleeping, I would need to nap sometimes, and
mm,
that um, while she was nursing, I thought I could work, but your body puts out these hormones that make you so zoned out, you
mm,
can't gather your thoughts.
yeah.
And I was just like, "Oh, what a trick, Mother Nature." But I'm like, I get that it's nature's way of making you sit still long enough to feed the baby because
Mm-mm.
otherwise you'd be bored and want to get up and do something. But I'm like, I can type on my computer while she's on the boppy pillow. It'll be fine. But no. And it's not like you can take anything to stay awake because you're nursing a baby. So that was an adjustment. Um, and then also, prior to having her, I didn't really have much else, going on.
Mm,
And so I would work easily 90 hours a week
mm,
without thinking twice about it because I have ADHD and I get bored. I get bored. And so I would work. And I love my work. My work is my hobby, and my hobby is my work.
mm,
So spare time when people are like, "Oh, why are you looking up social media stuff?" I'm like, "I love this stuff. I cannot get enough. Literally, I
mm,
cannot get enough of online marketing. I want to read books about it. I want to listen to podcasts about it.
mm,
It's my thing. I love it. I want to look at it all the time.
mm,
And so now I have this small human who needs love and care and attention. And so I cut my hours down to a maximum of 50 hours a week,
Mm-mm.
usually closer to 40, and
Yep.
it's really hard. I had to be super efficient and show myself that grace of sometimes I just don't get things done,
Mm-mm.
but I don't want my daughter to feel like she's second to my work ever.
Mm-mm.
Because the whole point of doing work is so that I can have my family.
Yep.
So I absolutely put her and my husband
As a priority.
before my work, and
Mm-mm.
then um, it's hard, and sometimes I do better at it than others. Um, but I definitely drastically cut my hours back, like pretty much
Mm.
in half.
But
In
I
half.
guess that is what the challenges of just
Mhm.
a mother, not just into a mompreneur, even for a working mom. And I believe that
Oh yeah, it's
is
like a second full time job for sure.
yeah, it's a full time for life job, and as a parent, it always happen. But I guess that
Mhm.
the advantages or the benefit of being an entrepreneur
Mhm.
is that you can you live life on your own terms. You can make time for
I
it.
do.
You can control. You can manage your own time. As compared to a
Mhm.
working mom, that imagine if you have your child and you're still you're still working for others, being in a job.
No, I can't
Yeah,
imagine.
yes, correct.
Begging for time off? No.
And that's why a lot of I also realized that a lot of working moms are struggling because
Yeah.
motherhood, I would not say is demanding. Is there's a lot of attention, especially when there is such a big switch, big change from
Mhm.
maybe um, without before a parent and also after being a parent, the big
Mhm.
switch on that, because you have a new life um, that is in front of you that need a lot of attention. You'll be
Mhm.
physically, mentally, emotionally drained, especially for the mother, because
Yep.
if you're breastfeeding and all that stuff, it will take you a lot of energy and also
Right.
attention, a lot of time also at the same time. Sorry. So
Yeah.
so how do you what are the various ways that um, you took like that to get yourself back into pace? That means, was it only the initial years um,
Mhm.
when your daughter is still a baby to a toddler, or now she's 5, right? She's 5 years old.
She's almost 5. She'll be 5 at the end of
Mm.
May, yeah.
So is it that you do you find more time for yourself to on the business because she's growing older, or do you feel that the time is still
No.
the same?
So, it's funny, as she's gotten older, I feel like there's actually um less time for my
Mm.
business because when she was a baby, if she would go to sleep, I'm like, oh sweet, laptop. And now she is awake and she
Mm-mm.
is watching, and I had to make a lot of changes
Mm-mm.
as she got older. I moved to Colorado because my mom is here,
Mm-mm.
and I actually moved in with um, my sister, my brother-in-law, and their 5 kids, and my parents.
Mm-mm.
There's an apartment in a house, and it's ginormous, so it's not like we were cramped or anything.
Mm-mm.
But I rented space from them so that I could have my mother watch my daughter when she was a baby, and she could be brought to me for nursing and all that. Because I refused to be not in the same place as my daughter
Mm.
until she was quite a bit older. And I only recently got an office space outside the house.
Mm-mm.
And I did that because now I don't want Brennan to see me working and me say, go away, I'm busy.
Mm.
Because then no matter what I say, the
Yeah.
impression will be this computer is more important than you are.
Yeah.
And that's not okay.
Mm-mm.
I don't want that. So my mom was a director of a daycare
Mm.
after the ballet studio. So she's been teaching kids her whole life. So she actually ran a full on daycare center for one child. And now Brennan's about to go to school.
Mm.
So that'll be exciting. But because I don't live with them anymore, now I drive across town to drop her off and I have an office 5 minutes away.
Mm.
And it's worth it though. I
Mm.
mean, you can't find anyone to love on your child as much as you, better than your mom, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I moved full across the country for that.
Wow. And I would say that because you are doing you're a digital mompreneur, that's why you are able to move from location to location, and it's not
Yes.
being affecting your business at the same time.
Exactly, and I do still go, to conferences as necessary. Like, my
Mm-mm,
husband watched Brennan for a week while I went to
mm,
Social Media Marketing World in San Diego,
mm-mm.
um, and that's awesome, and if I were still single, my parents and my family would have watched her, but, um, when you have a daddy, you leave with the father. They had some fun, daddy-daughter time, and, we FaceTimed every day,
Mm,
and being a digital geek, I've taken pictures of Brennan every single day she's alive, so I
mm.
made sure that, I took pictures of us FaceTiming, and my
Yeah.
husband sent me pictures every day, so,
Yeah, which is
um
good because of technology that bring us together,
mhm,
especially you are away from them, but you still be able to contact
mhm.
because like for FaceTime and stuff like that. So what is the definition of a digital mompreneur to you?
I would say a digital mompreneur is someone who, does enough business online to where they're location
Mm,
independent and, independent of other work. It's their primary occupation, and
mm,
they're making the majority of their money using their intellect in their computer.
mm, yeah.
That's
So
and they
so
have a child or not a mom.
so and it's not and it's not necessary that and you touch on something very important is because recently I have some discussion with my
Mhm,
clients and we talk about um, having an online business and having a business on the online platform. So you touch on something about digital and maybe you can
mhm.
share with us that what is your definition of online business,
Okay.
yeah, when you were
Well,
talking about the
I
digital products and
I
stuff.
do. Yeah, there's not as much separation between online and offline business as there used to be.
Mm,
And sometimes they're very similar with the only difference being and like for example, if someone is a coach or a mentor
mm,
or works with people in some sort of a teaching role, you can now either do that one-to-one online through Zoom
mm,
or you can do a one-to-many program that you sell online.
yeah,
So to me, online business, I mean, there's also e-commerce, and that's a whole other, can of worms. And you could either have things uh, in a fulfillment center where you don't have any inventory, or you can
mm,
manage that yourself. That's a whole other thing.
yeah,
The people that I work with are speakers, authors, coaches,
mm,
people who are change makers and influencers. They work with people typically through coaching programs um, or through information products like online courses, that kind of
mm,
thing and sometimes products for sale as well. And I'm not knocking it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not usually the people that I work with are mostly selling what's in their head
mm,
and packaging it up and selling it. And sometimes they're also affiliates for other people, affiliate marketing.
yeah,
I personally do in-person speaking engagements and VIP retreats, and
mm,
I still do in-person things. But my primary method of communication is been through my blog since 2010,
mm,
and I just added in a radio show, which is also a podcast on iTunes in January. So that's new.
mm,
Um, but it's all been online. My audience is national and international.
mm, mm,
Um, so I don't have to meet my clients face to face, and most of them I haven't. I mean,
mm.
unless you some of them don't even want to do a video chat. It's just email and
Yeah.
product management software, and that's fine. That's
Mm.
more for the agency work. When I'm doing coaching, we do hop on
Ah.
the calls.
In fact, you have just shared some of the various way that even for a working mom, she can be a online. She can start an online business, like
Hmm.
having all the intellectual that is from here and putting it online, either
Yep.
by a one-to-one online coaching or even like
Mhm.
maybe a tutorial video, or maybe she can even create some ebooks or digital
Yep.
products that she can put for sale, right?
Yes. There are so many ways to monetize your life
Mm,
experiences. Everybody is got a gift. It's just a matter of identifying what it is and
mm-mm,
packaging it up in a way that helps other people.
yep.
So if you can help other people get better relationships or more money or better health, regardless of what it is that you're selling, if you can help people reach their dreams, um, then you've got a business.
Yeah, and you also touch on affiliate marketing, which you can market other people's product and with
Yeah.
your with maybe to tie in with whatever that you know. that you could
Mhm.
market their product at the same time. In maybe like
Yes.
for you, you are someone who's very big on health and wellness, then you could
Mhm.
maybe help could sell a affiliate marketing product uh, from others that
Yes.
is relating to what you are passionate
Mhm.
about, which is
Right.
which is in the health.
Absolutely. Well, and then there's also sponsorship opportunities if you become an influencer in your
Mm-mm,
industry. Now
mm-mm,
that I have a radio show, people are approaching us about sponsorships, and that's a whole other thing. That's not something that happens right away
mm-mm,
necessarily. But if you stick it out long enough and keep doing what you're doing, yeah, people will pay you just for being you.
mm.
Initially, though, it's more, for example, I have an Amazon affiliate thing
Mm,
that I just recently set up where when I have authors on, I can link to their book. And if somebody
mm,
buys it, I get a little commission. And it's
mm.
not a lot, but it adds up.
Yeah, and that is something that you're passionate about, and you're just writing about
Mhm.
it. And by the way, there's an affiliate link that they could purchase.
Yep. I've been linking to my people's stuff for years. And I had just read I think it was Pat Flynn said something about, hey,
Mm,
link to the books of that are mentioned on your show or that
mm-mm.
you have authors on your show. And I was like, ah, of course, genius. He's a genius. We all know this. He's genius.
Yeah. And that is a lot of example. I believe there will be
Mhm,
tons and tons of opportunity. Just that um, a lot of people are not aware of all these things that they can do. Especially, I would say that maybe in Asia country, especially in Singapore,
mhm.
a lot of them do not know what exactly is an online business being like. You do
Oh,
not need to have the product, but you can still make an income out of it, which is like affiliate marketing is
right.
one. You can, if not, then you can use Amazon, and there's also
Mhm.
there's like ClickBank. ClickBank is one of a platform.
ClickBank,
Yes.
yes,
So
yes.
one of the
And
platform. Yeah.
right, but you can there's always a way to create your own foundation as well. But
Mm,
affiliate marketing, if you choose the right programs
mm,
and you could get into, like, for example, Amy Porterfield is an affiliate for Marie Forleo, and she makes a lot of money doing this because she has established her own audience.
mm.
So the key to any of this is to establish your own audience.
Yeah.
That's where the value is. And then whether you're selling them someone else's product or your own, um, that in the end it doesn't matter as long as you're doing it successfully. But a lot of people do start with affiliate
Yeah.
because then they learn the ropes, they
All
learn
right.
what works and what doesn't work. They're
Yeah.
provided with marketing materials,
Yeah.
they develop their audience, and then when they have something to share that they know what their thing is, they've already got an audience. So that's a fair way to go.
Mm-mm. And what you mentioned is really really something that I could talk about, because in my book Mother
Mhm,
Industrialist I talk about the internet, that the internet is a platform um, that is there for every mothers to give it a shot
mhm.
into entrepreneurship, by
Yes.
sharing something that you're passionate about, like writing a blog, or even doing a podcast, or even
Mhm,
doing Facebook Live to share something that you're passionate about. And over time, you build up a following or audience. That means
mhm.
it's just displaying out, exhibiting what you're passionate about, and
Yes.
eventually when you have because it does not matter whether you have an audience or not audience, you will still be doing what you love. Like for me, I'm
Yes.
interviewing all the mompreneurs, whether I get paid, I don't get paid, I still love to do that, because there's
Mhm,
always a message out in every interview. Like today we're going to talk about digital mompreneurs, and we also
mhm,
touch on affiliate marketing. So these are a lot of various ways that the mothers could do it. Like
mhm,
they could do their own shows interviewing mothers, or interviewing women's about
mhm.
makeup and stuff like that. And
Yep.
but like you mentioned, like in social media is also really important for them to build the audiences, being an influencer, so that they
Yep.
could monetize at the end of the day. But whether that would not be the main goal, I would say. And in my book I talk about internet is the best platform, and it's the best time for all mothers to step into entrepreneurship, because you could do
Yeah.
this on a part-time basis. You can still be working into a 9 to 5 job, but after your 9 to 5 job, from maybe from the evening to night or midnight, you could start
Mhm.
doing something that you're passionate about. Maybe you do a Facebook
Sure.
Live to talk about makeup, and eventually people start following you, your makeup skill got better, and people may want to sponsor you, like you mentioned, Laura. You
Yeah,
mentioned about sponsorship and stuff like that. But because these are things that
right.
you already been doing, and because of the
It
power of
is.
internet, you are able to reach out to even more, and that is really a very um, good way to share with mothers
Mhm.
how they could even pursue their passion. And
Right.
maybe
Well, and if you're not sure where you want to get started, you can do a little bit of freelancing first
mm,
to
yep,
see which projects really light you up. Because you could, like for me, did I want to be a copywriter or did I want to be a strategist or did I want to do the work? Or I mean, I tried a lot of different things before I figured out what my favorite parts were and outsource the other parts. But
mm,
you could freelance while you're figuring it out. So you're still making money
yep,
and you're still working online on your own schedule, but you haven't committed to one particular thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
yep. So so what are the things that what are the challenges that for you as a digital mompreneur that you are facing, between your business and
Challenge.
yes, challenges.
Well, I would say, it probably sounds silly, but just adjusting my clock
mm,
to daycare friendly hours because I am by nature a night owl.
mm,
Um, Before I had Brennan, I used to stay up till I don't know, whatever time of the night. And I would go to sleep when I was tired and I'd get up and I did have to put business networking things on my calendar and work, client appointments in from time to time.
mm,
But I just I didn't have anything in the mornings because I don't like mornings.
mm,
So, I mean, I had a few things that I had to go to once or twice a week, maybe. But
mm,
other than that, I mean, I'd probably go to sleep at between 1 to 5 in the morning and get up between 11 and 1 in the afternoon. And I just work better that way. And I'd get into my zone of like really good work around 10 p.m.,
mm,
And now, no. Now I work typically from 9 to 6.
mm.
That's it. Um, so adjustment of schedule was a big deal for me.
Mm. But I guess it's also the flexibility and the freedom for you to manage your own time as a mompreneur, and as compared, because for you, you can choose to do 9 to 5, you can choose to do it 5 p.m. to
Hmm.
midnight and stuff like that. You can choose the timing, and you can even give
Right.
yourself off if you have any important things to
Oh my
attend.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, being able to take off, like for example, this summer, if I had a regular job where I was working for someone else, I have kind of business like hours, but it's because that's when my mom was available for daycare. That was my yeah, it was my choice to do that.
Yeah.
Um, but there were days where we wanted to do. My daughter was going swimming, and my mom said, "Oh, hey, we're going swimming. We're going to be at the pool,
Mm,
on this day." And so I just didn't work. I went to the pool.
mm, yeah.
And I didn't have to ask anybody. I just blocked my calendar off so nobody scheduled appointments and I went to the pool. So my daughter was like, "Mama, look at me swim." It's excellent. And I should mention that on Fridays I work half days.
Mm.
Fridays are half days. I don't work on Saturdays. I don't usually do Sundays. I made an exception for you.
Thank you very much, Laura.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You got to take other people's time zones into account. And I've had some things recently with people in Australia and
Mm.
England and now Singapore where it's not regular business hours. So I just let my family know what's going on. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be on the computer for an hour.
Mm,
And it's because somebody is on the opposite side of the world
mm.
and we're going to talk. And my daughter, if I'm at home, will pop in and show us her toys and then go about her way.
I guess that is
But
the freedom, and also that's the joy of being a
mhm,
mompreneur, because it's exciting, especially a digital mompreneur, is to meet
mhm.
people from all around the world at different time zone. Like for me, meeting you at this time zone, I know it's late for you, but it's morning for me. And most of the mothers would be in the would be in the office now working. But I believe that
Mhm.
at the end of the day, they'll be able to watch this replay, this Facebook live replay.
Awesome.
Yeah, and also what what would be how can a working mom start to be a digital mompreneur? Any thoughts, any tips for them?
Yeah. Well, so as an example, and now my sister isn't a traditional quote unquote working mother,
Mm-mm.
but she is the mother of five. and that is
Wow.
her full-time job. Yes. So my brother-in-law is military, so her full-time job is household head of household, managing the household, managing the children, managing their school schedules, managing everything. So and she wants to work because she's
Mm,
an industrious person,
yeah.
and but there was no way she could get a job with this crazy schedule, right?
Mm,
I mean, they range these children from 19 down to 6.
wow.
So there's soccer, there's theater practice, there's all these things. But what she's done is taken on like community management roles online,
Mm,
and done. I've hired her to do LinkedIn prospecting, and
mm,
there's online work that you can do that is not dependent on you being available at any particular time.
yeah.
So if she, instead of, playing taxi mom all day and taking her, one of her sons has special needs, if she weren't ferrying him around to all these therapies and managing these, if she were working a regular job, it would be
Mm,
just the same, where
correct.
you could start working for another digital
Mm,
marketer and do tasks that are not clock specific.
yep.
So you can learn the ropes and get experience without being tied to particular times. It's just hey, this needs to be done by a certain day.
Mm-mm,
But if you do it at 1 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't matter. If you did
yep.
it on your lunch break, it doesn't matter.
Correct.
So you can start a digital business around another business. As a matter of fact, now that I think about it, when I first started this, I had a part-time job.
Mm.
Um, Not for very long. I was profitable fast. But initially, I got a job at a local amusement park in Virginia as
Mm,
a finance. I worked in the finance department, and it was a random, like, variable schedule, and I worked when I was available. But I did have a part-time job for, I don't know, 4 6 months, something like that.
mm.
um, and then as soon as my digital business and my work was making more money than my part-time job, I let it go. I let the
Yep.
job go, and it was really scary to let, because that would pay my minimum bills.
Yep.
But as soon as I was able to pay my bills, I cut that off, because
Mm,
I knew as long as I had that safety net, I wasn't going to be as diligent about
mm.
pursuing my work. So, and also, who wants to work a part-time job? That's no fun.
Yeah, but I guess that you share one something that I would also want to bring it out to the mothers,
Hmm.
is because if let's say you don't like the job that you're doing, but you wanted to build something on a part-time basis, on
Hmm.
the day-to-day basis you can start. That means if you still have the 9 to 5 full-time job, you can still build on it, and you build this part-time, which is pursuing your passion, or even learning the
Hmm.
ropes of affiliate marketing, or maybe some a product or services that you are really passionate about. You can start building on a part-time basis, and eventually if you want to free up more time, because if you see that your online business is picking up, you can gradually maybe to quit from the job that you do not like, the full-time job, and move into a part-time where there's not much
Yes.
commitment and responsibility, and you do
Hmm.
not need to do overtime maybe in a part-time job, because there's no
Hmm.
commitment, and slowly transit onto your online business, because that will free up a lot of time. That would be my suggestion. That's what I
Yes.
gave a lot of mothers who wanted to step into entrepreneurship, and mothers who I coach for them to kickstart their business. It's not to really jump into entrepreneurship or online business immediately. Is to get the learn the ropes and get the feel of it, and before they move it on to the online business. And
Yeah.
and the most important thing is to make it profitable. Like Laura, you have shared, you because if profit because you are profiting from your online business, or
Hmm.
that's where you quit your part-time job, because it makes a lot of total sense for you to focus more on your online business, since you already learned the
Yes.
ropes and you're moving on to it. So
Right.
the next thing is, like, for you, what would you advise? That means, because you shared with me that you were doing traditional business, and also online business. So what is the difference do you see from being a traditional business and also an online business?
Um, Well, typically, if you work for somebody else, you go, you do what you're told, you put in your hours and you go home.
Mm,
Usually, unless you're like a teacher with all the extra work they do, you turn off your work when you get home. So when I was like for when I managed movie theaters for 10 years, for example, I went to the theater, I did my work, and then I left the theater and I was home. So I went out with my friends and I played a lot of video games. A lot of video games. But I read books, I watched movies,
mm,
I went to the beach. I was playing like all the time. I didn't have any real responsibilities. I mean, I was management, so it's not like I wasn't responsible for anything. And if there was an emergency, I could get called in, but it wasn't my business. So when I hired people and trained people, I followed systems and procedures that were
mm,
already in place, and I took those for granted. And then
mm,
when I was out on my own, I had no operations manual at first. I had no training procedures. I
mm,
had no hiring process. I had none of that stuff. And I had to develop all of that as well as my own business plan, cash flow projections, marketing plans. I mean, if your business is serious, then you need to take it seriously.
mm,
You need to have a budget. You need to have a business plan with a marketing plan. You need to know who are you? Who are your competitors? What are you doing? What are they doing? Does the market actually need what you're selling and how do you position that? It's
mm.
not it's not playtime. This is real work. It's
Yep.
just work that you care about. It's fun. It is something you're passionate about. So you should be driven to want to help people with what it is you're doing because
Mm,
it would I have seen so many people quit and go back to a job.
yep.
And I've had opportunities where I've lost relationships.
Mm,
I've lost other things because people try and pressure me into quitting and they'll say, "Look,
mm,
um, you know, something didn't go right or I
yep.
lost a project or,
Mm-mm,
something goes wrong and it will."
yep.
And then they're like, "Well, that's very hard. Why don't you go back to a job?"
Mm,
And I don't no, no, that's not gonna happen. But there at least I know in my business, I will not fire myself.
mm,
I'm never going to be completely incomeless because I can go make a sale tomorrow and do something different.
mm-mm.
Um, I mean, I'm a Taurus, I will out-stubborn anyone. But if you're not willing to defend what it is that you wanna do,
Mm,
to your family, to your friends,
yep.
to strangers you meet on the street who don't understand it,
Mm.
well, you better get ready because it's
And and
coming.
and I believe that you touch on a very important part of business of anybody who's
Mhm.
moving into business or moving becoming an entrepreneur, which is the why. Why do they want to start the business? Is
Mhm.
it because of money? If it's because of money, I would strongly suggest not to, because money will not because money will not drive them for the long run. Like you mentioned, that there
No.
will be a lot of objection, a lot of people were asking you to go back to work, and if your why
Mhm.
is not strong, if your why is because of money, all that all that dream crushers, dream stealer will come in and and bring you out from this
They
race.
will.
Yeah, and it's very
I will
very
say
important. Yeah.
well, I would say money influenced me in one way and one way only, which is I know that my value is
Mm,
more than some person who sees me as a cog in a wheel or a number in a spreadsheet
yeah.
values me. I
Mm-mm,
know that my value is infinite and limitless, and
mm-mm,
I'm a child of God. You cannot put a number on my life,
yeah.
but I can go out there and do what I want to do. And if I make $1 million this year, then yay me. But you don't get to tell me how much money I make. It's
Yeah.
me and my family and my efforts. And I refuse to have someone tell me you're worth, $150,000 a year this year and no
Mm,
more. I would rather take a chance
yeah.
and and maybe only make 100,000, but knowing that next year I could make 1 million, and nobody has put that
Mm.
ceiling on me. I refuse to be held down in that way.
Yeah, and that is
So,
very very important for a lot of mothers, especially they will feel that
mhm,
they are not worthy, they always put down by others. And one thing for sure is I believe that everyone has a genius in us, for us to
yes.
really unleash the full potential. But the only thing is whether are you strong enough, do you have that desire and the why, and why am I so passionate about helping mothers to step into entrepreneurship or even share with them various ways for them to be able to spend more time is because as a parent, as a mother especially, you have that desire to spend more time with your children because you
Mhm.
know that you want to see their milestones, you want to be with them, you want to shower them with love. But because if you are in the 9 to 5 job, or most of the time you're working overtime, you do not have the time with your children, and a lot of mothers
Mhm.
are feeling the guilt. um, and over time this guilt is going to be snowball into something that is not positive. So if they
Yeah.
are able to spend more time with their children without feeling the guilt, and I for me personally, I've seen a lot of goodness in a lot of mompreneur like Laura, and a lot
Mhm.
of mompreneur I've interviewed. A lot of them are having that lifestyle that they wanted with their family. They're
Mhm.
able to balance because they are in control. They're living life on their own terms, and also if they work hard enough in the business, because they will, because of the desire,
Mhm.
and if they fail on the business, it means that they'll fail on their children or even in the family because they are not able to manage their own time and are not able to
Right.
free their own time to spend with their family members.
The time is also different that we spend
Hmm.
because Brennan, by the time she was 4, had been on hundreds of flights.
Wow.
I'd take her with me places
Mm-mm.
often. She just happened to stay home with my husband during this last trip because it was so early to so late. There was no time for family, so there was no point in her coming
Mm.
on that trip. But had we been staying longer, then they would have come with me and we would
Mm.
have made a family trip out of it. But my daughter has seen parts of the world that she would never have seen if I had a job.
Yeah.
And also, she listens in the morning. She's in the car with me while I'm listening to the Amy Porterfield online marketing made easy podcast.
Yeah.
She's heard Pat Flynn. She's heard
Wow.
Amy. She's heard these genius people like just the thoughts that she thinks growing up are inherently different,
Yeah, from her peers,
and
especially.
her possibilities are just infinite.
Yep.
She is going to see possibilities that children whose parents just go to a job aren't even going to know about until much later. Her
Yeah.
life is going to be so different, and I think in a better way.
Yes, yes. I totally agree with you, and that is also another reason why I'm so passionate about
Mhm.
mom being entrepreneur, because the entrepreneur path, you are leading you are being a good role model for your children, especially for their
Yes.
future to come, because there's a lot of uncertainty about the job industry, having be able to secure the job or whatever that they are learning now in school. Would it be applicable for their future when they step into the society, in the job
Yeah.
society? So there's a lot of question mark that I'm really concerned, and I believe that with the entrepreneurial skills being passed down by their parents, like for you to your daughter, she's learning
Hmm.
things that an entrepreneur is learning, like you going through all the hustle, going through all the motivational and affirmation stuff like that.
Hmm.
She's going to be a different child, a different kid altogether among her peers, and she may be able to stand out to be the leader of her group.
Hmm.
I would see that to be, because that is what I see in a lot of entrepreneurs children, that they are having that leadership in them because they learned that when they were really young and helping the business. And
Yeah.
Laura, I really really enjoy our conversation, our interview today, but time really flies. I really hope that I could get you
Ah.
on for the show again. And it's really a huge topic about digital entrepreneur, digital mompreneur.
Mhm.
And maybe you can share with the audience how can they connect with you to learn more about you.
Absolutely. So my website is socialsavvygeek.com.
Mm,
And I'm at Social Savvy Geek on Twitter. I'm on all the social media because it's what I do. I'm not
mm,
recommending you be on all the social, but whatever your favorite platform is, I'm probably there. Also, if you go to Facebook, it's this Social Savvy Geek, but also the Social Savvy Geek Show. So
mm.
if you were interested to hear me, run my mouth more, you can absolutely listen, and it's available on iTunes as a podcast. So you can find me, Social Savvy Geek, anywhere you look.
Thanks a lot. So for those who are listening and watching, I will include the link in the description below, and
Mhm.
you can feel free to contact Laura, and also to check out what she'll be doing, her podcast, and also
Mhm.
her radio, and also her upcoming things, and what does social savvy geeks have to provide for you. So any okay, so now we are coming to the end, coming to almost the end of the show. So
Right.
Laura, like I share with you, there's a tradition which every guest get to post a question of the day out to the audience and also to the next guest. So are you ready with your own question of the day?
Ah! What is my question?
Yeah, anything that you
Um,
can that maybe any burning question that you want to ask about your business. It could be anything about entrepreneurship, parenting, or about
mhm.
life.
I would say, if there were one thing
Mm,
in your business
mm, mm,
that could be magically solved, if there were one part that
mm,
a genie would come in and say, I can fix this piece for you,
mm.
what would that broken piece be?
Okay. So if you were to put it into a sentence, how would it?
Um,
What is that
if you,
one?
what is the one piece of your business that you wish would magically fix itself? How
What's the
about that?
one? What is the one piece of your business that you wish that it would be magically solved?
Yes, magically solved,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
That's
Okay.
not a hard question at all.
Yeah, but it's just that one piece that will be magically solved. Okay. So that's a very good question of the day, and I'm so excited to see who's the next guest to answer this question of the day posted by you. So
Uh,
before we go, any last advice for the mothers who are sitting on the fence thinking whether they should pursue their passion or they should step into entrepreneurship? What is your last advice, Laura,
my
for the mothers?
advice is if you keep thinking of it, if it keeps returning to you, if you can't put it down, then you need to pick it up.
Mm.
And you may absolutely bomb, and that's okay. It's it's okay to fail and just do it anyway because I would rather have failed and know and not regret not trying than to not try.
Mm.
And sometimes it's your second idea that is the one, but you've got to get in there. So pick it up and go with it.
Wow. Thanks a lot, Laura. Thanks for
You're
your
welcome.
last advice, and thanks for making time to really come in for this show. I know um that you are now, it's really late, and you can't wait to go back home and spend more time with your daughter. So
It's
thanks a lot.
snowing. I'm afraid to look
Yeah.
at the car.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for today's interview, and really hope to have you on the later episode. And last but
Absolutely.
yeah,
It's
and
been
last
fun.
yes, it's fun. And last but not least, Kenneth here signing off with Laura. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to Mother Industrialist Live Show, and I see you guys in the next episode. Thank you guys. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye, Laura.